Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Chloe Feng. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Public hospitals and clinics will start issuing electronic medical certificates next month. Anger and frustration mount as desperate survivors plead for aid, 1 week after the earthquake which has killed 38,000 in Turkey and Syria. Patients at public hospitals and clinics will be issued electronic medical certificates from next month. Those receiving teleconsultations could even have their drugs delivered at their doorstep by the end of March, Janice Low reports.
Launched in late 2019, the Hospital Authority's mobile app, HKIBC, has played a huge role during the height of COVID. Through the app, patients can either book a doctor's appointment and skip the long queue, or even receive a teleconsultation for those serving quarantine at home. Now the app is set to roll out another major feature. From March 6, all medical certificates issued at public hospitals and clinics can be accessed from the app. There will be no more pen and ink signatures on the electronic sick notes, which will be signed digitally instead. To verify its authenticity, employers can scan a QR code on the document and access a website. After entering the patient's name and sick leave period, the website will confirm if the details match the hospital's records. The authority insisted electronic certificates are also legally binding. But Chief Manager Larry Lee added during the initial phase, patients will continue to receive a hard copy from the doctor.
Actually, the eliminations of the electronic sick leave, I don't think there will be a concrete timeline. But I think the progress that will be going, we expect the next step that will be the patients or maybe our staff will be getting less and less to request for the physical copy of the electronic sick leave. And I hope this can be speed up with the other building blocks of our smart hospital.
Joanna Pang, the authority's chief manager of health informatics, said the HKIBC app has been downloaded 2.2 million times, with 1.75 million active users. She said extra staff will be set aside to help elderly patients who struggle to adopt the app. To further promote teleconsultations, the authority will launch a medicine delivery service from the end of March, so patients can complete their treatment without stepping foot outside. Janice Low, HKIBC.
A former Democratic lawmaker has testified as a prosecution witness in the city's largest national security trial, which entered a second week. Police were on high alert as Ngao Ngo Hing arrived at West Kowloon Magistracy in a prison van. The 35-year-old was escorted by 3 correctional officers as he entered the courtroom via a special passage. He recalled a meal gathering hosted by former law professor Benny Tai in early 2020, where Democrats first discussed the idea of gaining a majority in the legislature. He quoted Tai as saying that a legislature controlled by the Democrats is a constitutional weapon which can inflict great harm. The government is seeking lawmakers' support on the creation of half a dozen directorate posts, which would set taxpayers back more than $10 million each year. But their salary and job duties were called into question, Joanne Ho reports.
Of 6 positions the government wants to create, 3 will be responsible for the Hong Kong Talent Engage scheme. The chief executive's answer to an ongoing brain drain by recruiting overseas professionals. Another will conduct manpower projections of different trades. The 2 remaining posts will tackle poverty and welfare. The roles are deemed to be directorate ranks of D2 or D4, translating to starting monthly salaries of $184,000 and $243,000 under the government pay scale. Many lawmakers questioned why the duties cannot be completed by existing civil servants. Former Immigration Chief Lai Tong Kwok even felt that one of the posts, the Hong Kong Talent Engage Director, is overpaid.
Now let's look at the private employment market, private labor market. The equivalent title is administrative manager, and the remuneration package would be $2.4 million per year. That is equivalent to a D2 grade officer. So why are you pitching it as D4 grade level?
Labour Chief Chris Sun replied that's because the post's duties are innovative and groundbreaking and were not seen in the city before. He confided that his bureau cannot cope with the workload, which he suggested was double the amount of other bureaus. Judy Chan of the New People's Party sympathized with Sun, but remained skeptical over the job creations.
This term of the government has created a lot of positions. If I put it bluntly, many of these positions are not delivering. Say, for example, the commissioner for the Invigorating Island South office. Well, nothing has been delivered on the policy address by the commissioner. I asked him what he has done, and he told me that he has put up signages.
Retail sector representative Peter Xu supported Sun, saying all industries are facing a manpower shortage. The panel demanded more details of the posts as it passed the proposal to the Establishment Subcommittee for discussion. Joanna Ho, HKIBC.
Overseas, yet another unidentified object has been shot down in the United States, this time over a lake near Michigan. The spate of object discoveries may have been triggered by heightened awareness from defense officials after a Chinese balloon unleashed a political crisis. Raymond Yang reports.
For the third time in as many days, fighter jets were scrambled to shoot down unidentified targets over North American airspace. The Pentagon confirmed that an airborne object which had been flying at around 6,000 meters was shot down over Lake Huron in Michigan state. Defense officials believed that the object was connected to a radar signal picked up over Montana earlier. They insisted its path and altitude had raised concerns, including its potential hazard to civil aviation. The mission undertaken by an F-16 fighter was conducted over water so as to avoid impact to people on the ground and facilitate debris recovery. U.S. Air Force pilots also shot down two unknown objects over the weekend, one off the coast of northern Alaska and the other in Yukon Territory over Canadian airspace. The series of activities followed the shooting down of a Chinese balloon near South Carolina, with Washington adamant it was for spying purposes, even though Beijing has firmly rebuked the accusations. Experts suggest radar systems have been tweaked after that incident to become more sensitive, leading to the discoveries of objects which may have gone undetected otherwise. Raymond Yang, HKIBC.
China has, for the first time, accused the United States of flying high-altitude balloons over its territory without permission. Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin claimed that over 10 such sightings were made since last year. He added it was also common for American balloons to illegally enter the airspace of other countries. Wang asked Washington to reflect on itself instead of slandering or discrediting others. Relations between the world's two leading economies soured after Washington shut down an alleged Chinese espionage device last week. A week after the 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck Turkey and Syria, 38,000 people are now confirmed dead. But frustration and anger are mounting as survivors in many stricken areas are still awaiting humanitarian assistance, Sachin Kadvi reports.
Sitting 100 kilometers north of the quake's epicenter, the small Turkish village of Polat is in total ruin. 1 week on, most residents had to fend for themselves as very little aid has come their way. Braving temperatures as low as minus 22 degrees Celsius, this man said he would just try to survive until spring. Over in the haunted city of Antakya, the sense of grief and sorrow have gradually been overtaken by frustration and anger. Survivor Zafer Mahmoud Bonsuk said he could only watch his mother pass away underneath the rubble. His repeated calls for help went unanswered. He accused President Recep Tayyip Erdogan of letting his own people down. The town of Sarmada in northwest Syria has yet to receive any aid. The rebel-held town has been overlooked by the Syrian government. Worse still, aid which would normally flow in from Turkey has been cut off since the disaster. This doctor from a local hospital asked for supplies but was told by aid organizations they could only provide body bags. Residents are fleeing the Turkish city of Adıyaman, but when asked where they were going, many did not have an answer. Whatever belongings they salvaged and packed into the suitcases is all they have left. On a brighter note, volunteers are flooding in from other parts of the country, bringing with them food and other supplies. Arda Zor, who owns a hotel and a restaurant in Cappadocia, is now a chef at a field hospital, feeding 50,000 people every day. He's part of a self-financed group of 45 volunteers, which is not supported by the government or any aid organization. But all the help in the world cannot help survivors overcome the grief and sorrow of losing loved ones. Mass burials have become a part of life. Graves stretch out as far as the eye can see, and the only individual identity left is a number which is added to the growing death toll. Sachin Katvi, HKIBC.
The Taxation Institute of Hong Kong is proposing a salary tax reduction in the upcoming budget to retain local talent.
Tax measure would be definitely one of the key measures to help retaining or attracting talents, to stay in Hong Kong. So, once again, we think that the margin tax rate for the salaries tax, we have suggested the government to consider dropping from 17% to 15%. So we think that it's a pretty low and attractive personal tax rate comparing with many other jurisdictions, competing countries or jurisdictions elsewhere in Asia Pacific, such as Singapore.
The Institute's other budget proposals included a stamp duty waiver for first-time home buyers and a reduction of up to $10,000 for income and profits tax. Researchers also felt it is time for a review of the city's tax regime to make it more transparent and certain to attract multinational companies. And now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index closed down 26 points. Top 10 active stocks, Tencent up $3.20, Tracker Fund up 4 cents, and Meituan up 10 cents. Baidu up $2.70, and Link Rate down $8.05. Forex trading against Hong Kong dollars, the euro is at 8.38, British pound at 9.47, and Australian dollar at 5.44. Moving on to the UK market, the London FTSE is currently up 33 points. On to the weather now. It will be cloudy with a few light rain patches. Temperatures will range between 15 and 21 degrees. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Monday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Chloe Feng. Thanks for watching. Good night.